Yeah, absolutely. Well, I thank you for that intro for sure. Um, yeah, I kind of like I had mentioned, I just got the live stream. So if they are watching the live stream, they're not going to be able to hear what's being told, but they're going to be able to hear what I say, and I think that's important as well. So with that being said, yeah, so I started out a long time, a few years back, obviously, probably a little bit over a decade ago. I was working in the clinics, more of conventional based clinics, and then I was also working in nursing homes. So I was like a more of a travel person because those career fields are always very understaffed, as you may know. But anyway, so I started there, and I kind of saw a pattern recognition in terms of like what was going on with individuals and just not feeling better. And so what I would see time and time again is that people will be on these medications or they're dealing with all these health struggles and they're taking these medications and they're not getting better. They're just getting, matter of fact, worse. So worse that they need another medication. And it was just like I was looking at it and I was like, wow, this is not good at all. And I was a little bit younger too. So seeing it at that age was a firsthand, like just like a wow, like this is really how it's supposed to be if people don't feel well. And we think about it too, and it's like, is this really the way that we're going to live our life with the people that we care about? Because I mean, like I was there every single day and I was watching people's mothers, people's fathers, people's grandparents, and all we were doing for them was just giving them medication. We were not teaching them about root cause medicine, root cause healing, and more naturally helping uncover why they're dealing with these issues. So like I had said, I did that for, like I said, almost closer to 10 years ago. And so what I did was I was like, I'm done with this. This is over. I was overworked, overstressed, and just emotionally just drained because I was just dealing with all these issues, or not these issues, but I was watching these people deal with these issues and just weren't getting better. So what I actually did though is I then jumped out and went the complete opposite way. So I started working at a supplement store. And while I was working at a supplement store, I obtained a ton of knowledge about Ayurvedic medicine, natural healing, and just proper nutritional and lifestyle strategies to help someone heal themselves. And while I was also doing that, I was also a personal trainer. So what I was seeing was that I was consulting with people daily, upwards to at least 20 people daily. And when those conversations are an hour long, that's a lot. Obviously not all of them, but like you're speaking with a lot of people, and so you're getting all these perspectives. And at that time too, I was actually studying to be a primary care physician. So I was going to be just a natural, or not a natural, but like a Western conventional medicine doctor that's more of that generalist. So while doing that, I understood a lot of what the approach of conventional Western medicine does and is. Anyway, so while I was working at the supplement store and I was a personal trainer, I was consulting with other people, like I mentioned, and what I would see is that people were just getting failed by both systems. They were getting failed by the medical system, and then they were also getting failed by just conventional weight loss training. So what happened was that people were burnt out, exhausted, dealing with stubborn midsection weight, fatigued, bloated, and they were dealing with all these issues. And it was either one way or the other. It was like either this person needs to go do crazy workouts, these crazy fad diets, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, whatever you name it, or they're going to go take medication. They're going to go take more thyroid medication. They're going to take. This was before, obviously, what we see today, like with the GLP-1s and stuff like that. Look, Ozempic. This was before that. So the main go-to for weight loss was thyroid medication. So they would give someone T4 medication because it'd be like, oh, you deal with weight struggles, low energy, brain fog, fatigue. Oh, let's just give you thyroid meds. Because by symptomology standpoint, by what the doctor would see, it would be like, oh, the only solution for that is thyroid medication. So anyway, so I was there consulting people, and during that time, I was actually studying functional medicine. So I was at my first year in university, and what happened was that I was just kind of like, the university standpoint wasn't really what I was going for at that moment, because I was going for, number one, trying to find a different path for myself. So I went to like study on online different types of universities like the Institute of Functional Medicine and those type of areas too, to obtain the knowledge of just functional integrative medicine. And from there, I started connecting the dots. So what I was seeing was that, okay, we had people that were dealing with extreme weight struggles. We had people that were dealing with these chronic conditions um, like the hypothyroidism, the Hashimoto's, the IBS, the IBD, the Crohn's, the colitis, the PCOS, the infertility. And it was like none of them were combining the two, because what people would do is like, oh, I need to lose weight. So one person will go to a trainer, the other will go to their doctor, and they both had their modalities, but none of them really gave the complete picture. And so that's when Complete Vitality was founded, because I decided that we need to find a place that we can have a complete approach to someone's health and well-being. So what happened then is, through all the reps I've had at the clinic, Western conventional medicine, also working as the nutritionist at the nutrition store, and then also being a personal trainer, because I obviously got my certifications also in personal training, nutrition, uh, somewhat of like not full blown dietitian, but dietetics, and then obviously the functional integrative medicine standpoint. So I decided to combine all the two and not just be so dogmatic, is the word we like to use, because that's what they are. They're dogmatic. They're dogmatic in the way they want to help you lose weight. They're dogmatic in the way they want to help you heal the root cause. So what we did was that I combined them all together. And that's how Complete Vitality was pretty much founded, because we want to look at the complete picture. We don't just want to look at this person's hormones. We want to look at everything else in their lifestyle. We don't want to just look at their gut health. We want to look at everything else. We don't just want to focus on weight loss, because what is the weight gain? That's still the symptom. There is a root reason why that's happening. So I know that was a lot of information right there, but it's mostly seeing what conventional medicine is doing, and quite frankly, doing a little bit the opposite. Now, here's the thing. This does not mean I hate conventional Western medicine. Matter of fact, I have my own telehealth clinic that I partner with. Yes, the telehealth clinic is more functional integrative, so they help with that. But if pharmaceutical drugs are needed, most definitely someone can use those in their healing modality. So here's the thing, though. It's going to actually help in conjunction with their healing journey if need be. And so they're definitely great tools. So that's something I want to keep reiterated too, is that like we're not bashing conventional Western medicine, because there's a time and a place. But what we're trying to see is that there's like we talked about, their main mechanism of healing is through a pharmaceutical drug or procedure. So that's not going to really help in the long run, because what they're doing is masking. But yeah, 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 absolutely. Well, to hone in on that specifically, talking about mindset and behavior change, what I see always missing in people in their healing journey is that they're not focusing on that aspect. And so that's the difference between a functional medicine doctor and then someone like me. Because a functional medicine doctor will see you and then be like, oh, okay, you got maybe these functional lab tests, maybe similar to what I do, maybe exactly what I do. But then they'll be like, okay, let's do these recommendations, and then let's take these supplements, and then in 3 months come back and we'll see where we're at. And it's like, is something magic going to happen in those 3 months to where they're just going to come back and be fully restored? Most likely not, because what actually needs to happen? A true lifestyle habit change, mentally and emotionally as well. So that's the power of the coach as well. That is the difference between what someone that's a functional medicine doctor would do and someone that I do. Because I can most definitely do what the functional medicine doctor is doing, but it's not only just that. Because remember, it's been an environmental adaptation. What does that mean? It means that we're not dieting you, we're dieting your environment. Because your environment is what got you there. It's like we thought about this. We look at Tangled headphones. Remember those before they had AirPods? And when you bring it out the bag and they're all tied up together, it's like a huge knot. And if you just try to yank the knot, You just make it worse. So what you got to do is untangle it. And that's what we're doing with our environment, getting more sleep, getting better nutrition, anti-inflammatory diet, supporting cortisol levels, supporting gut microbiome health, supporting thyroid function, one by one. And so what I like to do with my clients, to answer your question, after bringing a little bit of awareness to it, is that we're focused on what are your thoughts in the beginning of the day? What is pouring into you? What state are you in? Are you waking up in a scarcity mindset? Are you waking up in fight or flight? Are you in relationships? Do you have unresolved past traumas that you need to get addressed? Are you in a workplace that you don't love, truthfully? You know? And a lot of it sometimes is inevitable, but the truth is that's truly the root cause when we look at it. Like, no one understands that. You can have the best functional medicine protocols, you can have whatever, but if you don't get out of the environment, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. So if you're continuing to follow all these functional protocols, you're following this nutritional protocol, if you don't get out of that environment that made you sick, you will not heal. Just like if someone loses weight, but they did it in an unsustainable way, you did not help yourself. You hurt yourself because you just lost muscle, you just lost metabolic capacity. Same with the healing journey. If you do not get out of the environment that made you sick in the first place, and there's things that you can do, obviously, to work around that, but it's all about getting into that state. It's getting into that state. So, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really good question, and I know my Instagram isn't even hearing you, but it's all good. So what I could say is that, yeah, yeah. So I guess what Amanda was just mentioning was just that, like, how do you get someone to adhere to the mental aspect of the coaching portion? And to answer your question, Amanda, like, I have this saying that I would stand on, and that's that you have to fix your physiology before you fix your psychology. So what that means is that I think therapeutic stuff is incredible. EDMR, what all those modalities are absolutely needed. But until you address the internal dysfunctions that are causing the neurotransmitter imbalance, the neurochemical issues, you will forever be still dealing with those mental and emotional problems that where you can't even adhere to the program and protocol, to even the lifestyle changes, to the habits that you need to change to be able to heal and get better and lose weight and so forth. So what that means is that the first step in how we help someone will address that is that we need to fix their physiological state. If your blood sugars are all jacked up, you're dealing with toxicity issues, you're dealing with low metabolic rate because your metabolism, let's say your thyroid function is slow. If you have tanked hormones because you're in perimenopause, well, yeah, of course you feel like crap, and of course you can't work out, of course you can't follow a plan because you feel like, you know what? So what happens then is that she thinks or you think you can't do it. Well, hell yeah, you can't do it because your body's all jacked up. So the first step we got to do is fix this portion first before we try to beat on someone, before we try to beat on their mindset saying just push harder, be more motivated, just got to fight through it. Next day, one day at a time. You know, all that's cute and cool. I mean, I do it all the time, but it's like, if you don't fix your physiological issues going on, then it's not going to cause anything. It's not going to help with anything. And so once we help you actually start fixing what's going on internally, that's when we can start getting a little bit more aggressive with the lifestyle changes needed to help with the healing journey. Okay? Because at first we have to start gentle because remember, you already hurt yourself. You have hurt yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. How so? Well, I'm guessing people that are into fitness, into health coaching, that's probably not new to diets, workouts. So what's happening is that you started this whole thing years ago, like 10 years ago. You tried fasting, keto, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Optavia. You did it all. So what happened over time is that your metabolism has adapted to that. So what happens then is that these same modalities you're doing, what you did in your 20s, is not working anymore in your 30s and beyond, because your body has adapted to that. And your hormones have shifted. You have more what is called inflammaging. You have inflammation and aging compounded onto that. And then you have the incredible industrial manufacturer we have in today's time with pesticides, glyphosate, PVCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals. You have all these issues or all these things that are impacting you. So we have to fix that first, get inflammation out the body, work on proper detoxification, balancing blood sugars, supporting micronutrient deficiencies before you even go into, okay, is this person really just dealing with an unmotivation problem? Like, what's going on? No, it's a physiological problem, meaning physiological, just a smarter term to say internal imbalance going on. So once we get those imbalances corrected, then it's like, I can actually like think clear now. I don't have brain fog. I can actually wake up and feel rested. I can finally not snap at my husband, wife, kids anymore, because I'm more mentally and resilient, more resilient to stress, because I'm not on the edge anymore. So at that point in time, then we can take you from, it's just me, or I just have I have a discipline issue, I have an unmotivation issue. No, because once those things start firing again, it's like it's a feedback loop where it's like, I feel good. I'm going to start doing this now. I feel so much better now doing this. Everything's starting to get corrected. But yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So typically what I like to do with my clients here is, yeah, like testing's a huge portion for sure. Um, and I mean, testing, and then the other thing is pretty great. And so what I'd say is that with the testing I do several different tests. And so what happens is that if someone doesn't feel well or whatever, they're going to go to their doctor. Their doctor, if they get lucky, which hopefully happens, is that they're going to run their lab tests. They're going to run annual type of blood testing. So what that means is that it's just that period of time that you're pulling your blood. Now, here's the thing. Lab values can be distorted, meaning when you look at a lab value, that's at that period of time. Now, what functional diagnostic lab testing is, and what I do for my clients is, and by the way, we call them clients because they're people, my family, my people, not just patients, a number of a patient. Okay, what I do is what the functional diagnostic lab testing, it's finding how those numbers even occur there. So what does that mean? If I have, let's say, low hormone, well, the functional diagnostic lab testing we can do is like a gut test, or we can do a comprehensive hormone test called a Dutch test. Now, these tests actually measure the before on how those hormones even get imbalanced, because we're correcting the root cause. Now, here's the thing. Remember, I studied Western conventional allopathic medicine. That's what it's called, allopathic. And so they don't believe in these tests. Because why? Well, the main profit margin is from pharmaceuticals or surgeries with insurance companies. But what we're trying to do is we're actually trying to fix the problem. Because as a coach, to be transparent, you don't get paid unless you solve and make transformations. So that means at the end of the day, if you don't do that, you're out. You're out. You're done. So if you can't do that, then you're done. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually fix the root cause, because we first of all care about the individual, and then second of all, we want to look at the body in a holistic approach. So some more going back. So the number one test I like to run on people is the GI map test, because your gut is more than a digestive organ. It doesn't just digest and assimilate your food. So what does this actually mean? Hippocrates said it best, which is an old health philosopher. He says all disease begins in the gut. What does this mean? Your gut influences your immune system, your hormones, your gut health, or obviously I should say digestion for sure, your endocrine system, your drainage pathways. So when I use something like a GI map test, it actually show us like, why is this person dealing with hormonal issues? Is there something called a gut dysbiosis, which is an overgrowth of bacteria? Is there low stomach acid that's causing acid reflux and why you need omeprazole, PPIs? Do you have low enzyme production too? Are you even not assimilating the food that you're eating? So all of this is crucial. Now, when we look at the other things too, we look at mold. Mycotoxins are actually technically what they would be called, which are mold spores. We'll look at heavy metals, lead, mercury, and then environmental toxins. And then we'll look at Dutch hormone testing, for example, which will be measuring what's going on with your hormones. I know it's a little bit hard to explain it without looking at graphics and kind of what the test would look like, but like what we're looking at here is a 24-hour reading of your hormones. Why is this critical? Because like when we talked about in the beginning, if you're just getting a blood test done at that specific period of time, that's distorted. There's things that influence that at that time. Because if I test my testosterone right now, it most likely will be probably higher than if I test at 6 p.m. tonight. That's distorted. So with a Dutch test, we're doing 4 samples throughout the day, into the night, into the morning, that actually show us, okay, what is the average of what we're getting here? Now, a big thing too that I really like about the test is that it's going to measure a 24-hour reading of your cortisol levels, which is critical because, like we mentioned, when you're getting your blood test done, that's a period of serum blood volume. So it's not actually getting like, what is your cortisol levels doing throughout the day? Here's the thing. If you feel extremely tired after caffeine, if you wake up and you still feel tired after, let's say, even a solid 7-8 hours of sleep, if no matter what, you just feel super fatigued, you could have adrenal fatigue. And you will never know that because they never tested 24-hour reading cortisol levels. And so what that looks like is actually your cortisol is flatlined because for so long you've been at a high stress state that it's depleted your adrenal function. Now here's the thing. When you go to your doctor and if this value even comes up, then you're going to get Cushing's disease. Okay? So what are they going to do? Give you steroids. But no, that's not the issue. I mean, that's not how you fix the root cause. You fix it by actually rebuilding back your adrenal function, and then, like we've mentioned, getting out of the environment that made you sick. So, like the lab testing is a huge portion of what we do, and it's pretty validating for people because I've listed tests out for many people, and then they start getting teary-eyed to cry because for once they finally feel that it's not in their head, and it's because it's true, it's not in their head. There's a real matter of fact thing that there's a reason why you don't feel well. Let's get to that. Now, on the other side of things, like if you're working with a good coach, you're working with someone who understands the body and physiology, then a lot of people don't actually need testing initially. And let me tell you why. Most clients, I help my clients lose weight, get back their energy, sleep better, all the things within days in my program. And they're not even getting no lab test yet because the lab test is getting shipped. So it's in the shipping process. So what happens then is that they're following my program based off the symptomology of what I've seen in the intake assessment. What does that mean? You have hair loss. You have hair thinning. You have low sex drive. You have low motivation. You feel wired and tired at night. You have extreme fatigue, brain fog. Okay, well, that's several systems coming at me. Poor gut health, probably. You have bloating, constipation, diarrhea, goes back and forth. Okay, let's start working on the gut. You have the hair loss, the fatigue. Well, you probably need some thyroid support because you have so much high stress. Oh, you also have stress issues? Okay, let's get the stress under control too. You see how we're like connecting the dots here too. So that's how I get clients to feel well like ASAP to reinforce the decision to work with me because it also helps them to keep going. But then also it works obviously tremendously well with using the functional lab test. So like I mentioned at the end of the day, it's also about learning that symptomology, and that's actually what you do as a doctor. Because when you're a doctor and you're having a complaint, when someone comes in what's called a chief complaint, hey doc, I have so bad fatigue. Well, technically in the books, as they're licensed physicians, they can prescribe you any medication they want. Oh, let's give you hormone medication. Let's give you thyroid medication. Let's give you whatever. And so what we want to do is, well, for one, we want to help you save money too, and then also help you just feel better right away. So if you understand symptomology like I do with my clients, then you get results within days, not weeks, days. So, yeah, it's a big portion. Oh, 100%. 100%. It's so validating too. Because it's like you've been trying all the things and you can't lose weight, you don't have any energy. Well, you start to have energy again. And it's like, wow, like I finally feel like myself again. Yeah. 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 So, what I got to say about that is that if that's your, if that's the thought process you have, then you're not in that much pain to change. Tony Robbins said it the best. Okay, change is when the pain of staying the same is more than pain of changing. So, and I had that. People come to me and they're not that much in pain. So it's like, no, you don't need to come to me right now. You need to wait till you're in more pain. And I do it because I love you and you want to get the results you said you wanted. So if you don't feel that, then you can't, nothing can happen. And if you want that easy fix, then go ahead. I mean, that's how, if that's how, what you want, then completely do it. But how is that going to help you in the long run? Hmm. Hmm. You do have to own up. Okay, so we know this because when we look at the 12 steps, truthfully, when you look at the 5 steps of change, the first step of always is identification. I have a problem. I don't feel well. I'm overweight. I can't function. I can't show up to be the mother, the father, the spouse I want to be. It's the first step of change. It's identification. So until you accept that first step, then you're on the path to change. The people that change with me, they already get on a call with me and they're ready to change. And those are the ones that draw the line in the sand and change their life. Because as dramatic as it may sound, when you work on your health, when you work on improving your lifestyle, there is no other ripple effect you will ever have in your life. And that outperforms any any type of financial gain you could ever have. Because you can't buy a fit body. You can't. Even plastic surgery, even weight loss drugs cannot do that for you, actually. And this has been proven because I've worked with people that done that. So, with that being said, it is something that will change your life, if that makes sense. Hmm. Yeah, I feel for that, and obviously not from personal experience, but oh, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, everything, everything. Oh my goodness, don't get me started with that. I mean, that's the majority of the clients I work with. I mean, all day, every day. And so, with that being said, like, I mean, the only solution they have is SSRIs, which is just absurd. Because I mean, for one, those that's got their own viewpoint, but uh, They give you birth control for some reason when your hormones are already tanked. That's all right. And they say that it's just aging or it's just stress. It's just your work. And like it's sad. It's very sad. But let me tell you the truth. This is not in your head. It's not aging. It's not stress. It's a physiological problem you're dealing with, and it's totally fixable. I actually know this because I just talked to one of my family members yesterday, and we just got her lab results back. And she's all upset and everything. I'm like, hey, don't worry. This is all fixable because what the doctor's telling you is not the only way. I think that I got a book behind me. It's called The Second Opinion. It's called The Second Opinion. You know what that means? So the second opinion means that when you're hearing something from a doctor, you should probably get a second opinion. And so what that means is that, like, if you're going to your doctor and your doctor's like, yeah, looks like we're going to need to put you on a statin drug because you're a female and your estrogen is actually declining because you're in perimenopause, so it actually increases the risk of cardiovascular issues. So with that being said, what I'm trying to get at is that you got to look at a different approach, because right now you feel stuck, you feel in this like scare state where it's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I'm having a midlife crisis. That's what you're thinking. I got a midlife crisis. I promise you today, as young as I look, all right, I promise you, you're not in a midlife crisis. It is a physiological problem that your body's going through that is completely flexible. And if you don't believe me, then look at my results at CompleteVitalityLife.com. Look at my results at Diego Reyes Health Instagram. So when you look at those results and you see those women, they were just like you. Now, going back to what you're saying, what we're seeing here today is that we're getting medically gaslit by women. Women are getting medically it's called idiopathic. They're not believing what they're saying. They're saying that's in your head, you're crazy almost. They're basically saying you're crazy in simple terms. That's what idiopathic would basically mean. And so what's happening is that no, your ovaries are starting to age. The brain to ovarian connection is starting to decline as well. And you have some inflammation going on. And things are shifting. So what's the best way to fix this? Using modalities that support your hormones and a lifestyle that supports your hormones, modulating your stress, even supporting your immune system. But more importantly, now some clients may need it, some don't. It all depends, but I will tell you the value of perhaps trying at least bioidentical hormone for a female that's in full-blown menopause. And this actually fixed the root causes. And this is actually more natural than just straight up using any type of HRT. Because what's happening is that you're just supporting your body's ability to make hormones. It's not like you're just giving your body hormone. No, you're supporting your body's natural production of creating hormone. And especially if you're in that perimenopausal range, let's say 40 to 50, that is an invaluable tool. And that's why I have it at the clinic at everyday low prices that you cannot get elsewhere. Promise you that. And so what that means is that I just had it with a female and it changed her life. It changed her life. I'm not even kidding you. We put her on oral progesterone, just a supplement. It's just progesterone. We looked at her Dutch test. We ran it. No more migraines, no more insomnia, no more just crazy anxiety attacks. And that's just all from fixing her hormone through bioidentical hormone. And remember, before she came to me, her doctor was trying to get her on SSRI, fluoxetine, Xanax, ADHD medication even. That's false. That is false. Yeah, it may seem like that when you got soccer practice, it might seem like that, but I promise you it's a chemical issue going on inside due to your hormones. Remember, hormones impact the way that you see the world and perceive the world. Remember though, hormones are the end user. What does that mean? They get manipulated by everything before that. Okay, so they're getting influenced. Okay, well here's the case where you're at. It's getting influenced because your ovaries are aging. You make hormone from your ovaries, your adrenal glands. Those are in adipose tissue, actually. Those are like the three main spots. For males, it's just the same, but instead of ovaries, obviously testes. So with that being said, when you have high stress, when your ovaries are aging, and you have a lot of excess weight, okay, that's the recipe for these crazy mood swings, crazy not feeling well, crazy even weight gain. Which, if there's one thing you take away from this, totally fixable. Totally fixable with the right lifestyle, nutrition changes, even supplemental support, and then even maybe hormonal support and in a more advanced therapy. So with that being said too, what I would tell you is that, I mean, I'd first seek out someone who's actually there to help you, you know? And I always get this too, like, it's like, no, people like me, not just me, but people like me, unfortunately, we cannot do insurance. So it's like, if you don't want to come to me because we can't take insurance, then that's already backwards thinking. Because at the end of the day, if you're actually finding someone who cares about you, they work with you. And they work with, let's say, the budgets they have and what they have. And that's something that I do. And that's how I've been able to have clients all the time. And that's how I've been helping so many people. Because I'm not just dogmatic in like what I charge and all that. Transparently, I help meet the individual where they're at because this is what they need and I can change their life. So I'm not going to let financial variables get in the way of that if I can change this person's life. And so anyway, like that's a big thing I see too. So I'd say at the end of the day, you got to keep an open mind. You got to keep an open mind in when you're looking at these ways, because most likely if you're listening to this podcast and let's say you're in your 40s and your 50s, this is unorthodox, tenfold unorthodox. Going on the internet, finding someone for your health, like come on, like what is that? You know, but unfortunately that's where we're at today. You know, so you can either like be against that, or you can actually take a hold of your life and your health and actually get the help too. You know, it doesn't even have to be through me, but seeing someone who understands. You know, and so, I mean, I'm with you on that. I could believe that's truly obscured as well. But it is where we're at today, so. Yeah, and I think, yeah, and I actually, like I mentioned, I test people's Dutch test results daily. What I look at is their dopamine metabolites. It is always depleted. If you have ADHD, the likelihood that you have low dopamine is very, very much high. Medical advice, as always. But if you feel like you're constantly tired, you have unmotivation, you can't focus to save your life, that dopamine issue, that's a dopamine issue. Now, there's many things to help with that, like improving precursors to dopamine, like L-tyrosine, L-dopa. But until you actually address what's causing that dopamine depletion, it's like you're wasting money, throwing money in the trash because you're not fixing the root cause. Just like when you buy that copay at the doctor to go see you get refill on a prescription, same thing there. You're not actually fixing the root cause. Sure, it actually might help you, and some medications are life-saving, so continue, please. Keep doing that. I did not say I'm against Western conventional medicine. Matter of fact, I've given tons of money to research to do so. But with that being said, if you want to fix the root cause, then you have to do these things. You have to figure out what's causing that in the first place. Root cause. What is the cause? It's in the word. But yeah, I'll tell you that, Tina. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and I think that's critical because, well, for one thing, it's a complete thing. So when we look at functional medicine, I know this is actually probably something I should have mentioned earlier. When we look at functional medicine, your body works in unison, not in isolation. So what Western conventional medicine is doing is they're isolating systems in your body. That is a huge problem. Now, matter of fact, Western conventional medicine, allopathic medicine, was actually founded in the early 1900s. Natural healing, everything was founded way before that, hundreds of years before that. Okay? Now remember, People pay off people to get distorted results. That's all. I'm going to leave it there. But with that being said, too, the endocrinologist is going to look at the endocrine system. The gastroenterologist is going to look at the gastrointestinal system. Cardiologist is going to look at the cardiovascular system. Okay, and then you have all those other specialists. So what they're doing is they're isolating systems inside your body, but at the end of the day, it's working in unison. Okay, so if you have poor gut health, you have inflammation in the gut, it's going to also impact your thyroid function. It's going to impact your immune system. If you have hormonal issues, it's going to impact your brain. Psychiatrists will not look at your hormones, are they? Have your psychiatrist ever said, hey, we should probably get your hormones checked? You know? Like, no, I've never heard that. Or has your doctor ever said, hey, how much sunlight did you get today? How much movement did you get? Did you get some fresh air? Were you in front of blue light? Have you got enough sleep? You know? Are you deficient in magnesium, which 70% of the population is? You know, all these things is absurd. It's crazy. And, you know, it's, like I said, it's a complete, utterly joke that it's like we're going to Instagram for this. But it's just, you know, like I said, you got to keep an open mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's actually so critical to talk about. And because, yeah, we have people living in bubbles. Look at Dave Asprey. Look at Brian Johnson. Look at those longevity experts. You know, like, is that really longevity? You know, like that isn't true health. That isn't true health. But anyway, going back to what you're saying, we, a little bit of toxicity is good. That's what penicillin is. That's what vaccines are. They're toxins. Your body then creates immunological, pretty much antibodies to attack this antigen, this issue. So what that means is that a little bit of toxicity is good, just like a little bit of bad bacteria is good for the gut microbiome. But since we live in a so hypersanitary age, we're keeping it very clean, that actually disrupts the gut microbiome. This has been shown through clear literature too. But going back to what you're saying, that is, I can't think of the term off my head, but that's like picking up pennies over $100 bills if you're worried about things like that. You know, and so yeah. Well, it's really good too. I mean, some of my clients, you know, to be transparent, it's like let's get them off. I mean, you, I mean, I'm not everyday things, you know, vape. Let's get off the vape. Maybe we do a Zyn. Maybe we do something else. It's still nicotine, obviously, but it's a lot better than where we were. You know, for people to have codependencies, addictions, that's important. Okay, so you got to work with them. Remember, we're talking about working with the individual, not against them. So like, yeah, like these people are hyper analyzed on this, like, oh, everything is toxic, blah blah blah. A little bit of toxicity is good for you, like I had mentioned, and it's all about the toxicity load. Okay, so we look at the things. We got a huge bucket. We got a bucket, and when the buckets overflow and of toxins, that's when our symptoms start to pour out: fibromyalgia, PCOS, infertility, weight gain, brain fog, bloating, constipation. So what we want to do is make sure that we're filtering that bucket out. So doing different things. So that's really what I have to say about that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Well, the first thing is to I'm trying to think of like some unique to something that's actually really good. So, um, man, I'm trying to make it something that maybe your listeners are not too aware of. I really do think that there's a lot of different things. So, well, obviously the first thing is like, dude, get outside as right away in the morning. Get outside and get the sunlight. If it's still cloudy, if it's 4 o'clock, if it's dark, get out there. I mean, right now where we're at right now, it's the winter. I mean, not the winter. Sorry, it's summer. At least in the United States here. So I'm saying like, get out there, get the sunlight. Do not look at your phone. Get off your phone. Get your phone out of like 10 minutes. Now going to the other side of things, get 99. I know you said a little bit cheap, but like these are pretty cheap though. Is get 99.9% blue light blocking glasses. Where I'm 60 minutes before bed. 99.9. Yes, you will look a little. It's orange, but that's actually better. And wear that 60 minutes before bed. You're out. You're gonna be out. Add that with 400 milligrams of magnesium. That's that you're already good. You're gonna get the best sleep of your life. You're gonna get the best sleep of your life. And now the next thing, no, something is get your hormones tested. Get tested. Get to know yourself. Get to know what's going on with your body. Ask questions. Ask questions with your doctor. You only get one body. You don't get another. You don't get no do-overs. And that's actually something profound to talk to my people that are parents that are showing their kids the right way to take care of themselves. And so there's no do-overs. People are treating their body like they got a spare one in the closet. That's not true. You got one. So if you don't feel well, if you're not, you got to do everything you can to get that back. And it's actually, it costs a lot less if you're trying to do more natural ways than you may think. It depends on what way you want to go, though. So it all depends. It's all relative, I should say. Hmm. There you go. Yeah, yeah. So my most active spot is going to be my Instagram, which is Diego Reyes Health, all one word. Diego, my first name Diego, and then health, or my last name too, Diego Reyes Health. The second thing would be I have a whole website, which is completevitalitylife.com. If you type that in there, you'll be there. If you type in Diego Reyes Functional Health Coach on the internet, you're going to find a ton of things already on that. You're going to find my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my TikTok, um, my Twitter, my X, I guess you can call it. And that's where you're going to find me. But like I said, the main thing is like get on the Instagram. We'll get in contact and we can just talk about whatever. Um, yeah. Hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Amanda, for letting me on, share a little bit of my story and pretty much our mission here at Complete Vitality. So thank you. All right. See you. All right. So let's go back to what we had here. So let's look at some of the questions. How do you get the inflammation out? Trina Taylor. The best way to get inflammation out is figuring out what's the root cause and source of the inflammation. Is it your diet? Is it you not getting enough sweat in throughout the day? Is it you not moving enough? Is it not enough sleep? Is it from improper supplements you're taking? Different things like that. So you want to find the source of where the inflammation is coming from. But the pain doesn't ever go away. It depends on what type of pain. It could be totally more of like a I'm just gonna say like a kinesiology type pain. It could be more of like a structural type of pain. So I mean that's something I'll be honest, I'm not the person to talk to about that type of stuff. But that could be what's going on. But then also, I guess if you do find the root cause of your inflammation, that will most definitely help with any type of pain that goes through. When you follow the rules and it still don't work, it depends on what rules you're following. And obviously, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Any advice for natural dopamine enhancers in kids with ADHD? Absolutely. It's going to be fish oil to reduce that inflammation in the brain, plus adding EPA and DHA to the brain, which is in large amounts. The second thing is to support with, I really like using called Gorilla Mind by, um, I forgot the name of the company, but they have all sorts of ingredients in that blend, and so it's something that I like to use as well. Um, let's see what else we got. Seems about it. All right, so hopefully you found that useful. If you want more info that was helpful, please reply or anything like that, and we'll be good. So I'll see you next time.